Today, we have a really big treat for you guys, and I'm just going to tell you it is for Anne a shocking review of her hormones.
I have been waiting for this moment for decades. That's not an exaggeration.
Hey, everybody, welcome to today, a special edition of Autoimmune Table Talk Live. Today, we're actually going to be getting very up close and personal with Anne's hormone results.
So exposed.
I know, and I understand. And so for me, it's actually the first time we've actually turned the tables where, people once they join the program, experience the program almost behind the curtain, and people don't really know what happens behind there. And they're like, what do you mean hormone mastery? What do you mean like she's teaching you things? Like it's really hard for people to truly experience what that's like.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you are showcasing this in this way because I think it's going to be so helpful for people to really understand what goes on in this program.
I'll give you a little context. Transform Autoimmune is a 2-month online program designed to teach you how to think like me, how to turn around any autoimmune disease naturally. It is not a band-aid or a doctor's visit or a consult. It is a be-all, end-all training program to get yourself the master's degree on learning how to turn around autoimmunity. A lot of people don't know what the heck that even means. Throughout the last month and a half, Anne has been going through the program herself, and as you guys have learned from her and her journey, and she's been documenting it in her vlog. And last night we went over her hormone results, and it was huge for you. And at the end of it, I think a couple of us asked you, would you be willing to share that video of your actual hormone review, the real review we did last night in our mastermind call behind the scenes, so you guys could see what happened. So we're going to be replaying that video in a couple minutes. A lot of you guys have hormonal issues and symptoms, and it's linked with your autoimmunity. And regardless of whether you think it's linked to your autoimmunity, it's linked with a lot of the other health issues you've had. you know
Mhm.
and the problem is that you are going up and butting against the institution, really, of doctors who have no understanding of hormones, and they tell you don't need to get your hormone tested. Or if you're quote unquote lucky enough to get your hormones tested, you're told that they're in the normal range and they're fine. Okay. And then finally, number three, worse, sometimes even worse, they're like, oh, you know what, we just need to give you some hormones. And then
Right.
I've shown multiple times, hundreds of times, how many times people have told me, oh, I got hormones licked. And because they're being prescribed hormones, when we test their hormones, they find out that they have crazy ass patterns that are even, that's actually one of the things that was triggering what's worsening their autoimmune disease, was the fact that they were receiving hormones and their hormones weren't balanced. It was, in fact, more imbalanced than sometimes many of the other people who are not even taking hormones.
And that is so frustrating. It is so, so frustrating to not get the help. And if I were to have been prescribed hormones, it would have made my problem that you uncovered worse. So,
Mhm. So, without further ado, we're going to watch uninterrupted at last night's review of Anne's hormones in the middle of the Transform program. Okay.
ah,
Okay, everybody, here we go.
I've been waiting for this moment for like 10 years.
So, but look at your symptoms, right? Acne, hair loss, irregular ovulation, mood swings, anxiety, history of infertility. That smells to me like PCOS.
Right?
Yes.
I've been asking a doctor that question for a long time.
This to me is obviously PCOS, but 90, I'd be just looking at those symptoms without any lab results, I'd be probably 95%, 99% right. That doesn't mean 100% of those people with all those symptoms have PCOS, but the likelihood's 90% or higher. So PCOS with a testosterone sensitivity or high testosterone, either one of those, you can have acne. Hair loss typically isn't hormone related, but if it is hormone related, it's related with either really high or really low testosterone. So could it be from high testosterone or high testosterone sensitivity? Yeah. Irregular periods, really commonly. You could get it in irregular periods, can be low everything, can be estrogen dominance, but most of the time we get irregular periods. When you say irregular, though, are you saying that they can be, you can just skip them for endo reasons? Or are you
No,
saying they're
it
really
used to
frequent
be
and
that
heavy?
way, but my ovulation specifically comes at an irregular time in my cycle. I
Really common in
ovulate
PCOS.
late.
So that's really common in polycystic ovarian syndrome. Struggle with fertility is really common for everybody with autoimmune disease, but specifically people with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and also people with a genetic condition called MTHFR, which is really common for people with autoimmune disease. Every one of us here is sitting with an MTHR genetic problem.
Have it.
So let's look at those results. Take a look. So you've had MTHR testing? Yeah, you don't even need to have, right? So number one, is she estrogen dominant, everybody? No. Number two, what's next?
Mhm.
Okay, this is an interesting one to look at, and it's a tricky. Let's take a look at the adrenal ones. Cortisol. Okay, let's go back up here. What could this pattern be? This is an interesting one because it's not the easy case to solve.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
what I'm
the
saying.
one that would require winner chicken dinner.
I
Whoever
know it.
gets this right, that who isn't Anne, because I know she could teach this program without me. She probably
Oh,
already
no,
knows.
no, no, no. You've taught so well.
Anne, why do you think this is hidden PCOS? You're right.
I know this is hidden PCOS because look at my DHEA. It
Mhm.
is underneath that red line.
Shitty.
If my DHEA was in a normal range, where would my testosterone be?
So a couple things here would be that number one, a balancer would be really great. 2 in the morning. Relax her one scoop at night would be really great. Right? Could you benefit from liver love? 1 in the morning, 1 at night?
Yes.
I think so. And I'm curious, based on your history, any other history of any, you probably have had history of some liver problems you already know about, correct?
What would be an indication of that exactly?
Sensitivity to smells, to mold, sensitive problems with toxins or, anything.
Yes.
High cholesterol or,
Yes. I have. Yes.
yes. Right. So let's go down. So liver love would be great. 1 in the morning, 1 at night. And then if you look at her adrenals, what stage adrenal fatigue is this? Stage 1, we call arousal. Look at how many of those dots are high. The morning dot is high on the red. The other 3 out of the 4 dots are near the top. That's called arousal, which is called stage 1 adrenal fatigue. So do we just sit here and say, oh, you have adrenal fatigue, we're going to give you adrenal boosters? No, we want to calm those cortisols. So the best thing for Anne would be to take a cortisol Procortex 2 in the evening, and that'll be really helpful. But the most important thing for Anne is to balance her blood sugars. And so she should be presenting food journal. I mean, I know she's a workaholic like me. And so she's really going to have to prioritize her eating and her blood sugar mastery in order to solve this problem.
Pro Omega.
Mhm.
What's the best vegan supplement?
If you truly are a vegan, you're going to be looking at an algae fish oil. Pro Omega 1000 would be first choice. Even if you're a vegan, if you can handle it, would be 1 in the morning, 2 at night. But if you're going to go truly vegan, then there's algae omegas. And the algae omega, there's a Nordic natural one. That would be second choice. But the problem is they're really weak. So you have to take a ton of pills. So it costs a lot of money and you have to swallow a lot.
I know in the modules you talk about EGCG. Doesn't one of the supplements have that in there?
It's Balancer, the original formula.
Get the original one.
Yeah,
That one would be the more beneficial one for me.
that is correct.
Okay. And now I'm currently taking a DIM supplement. Should I continue that? Do I need to switch? I also do have Love Her, but do I need like a Defend Her moment?
You do not, based on your labs. Let's go back up. The interesting thing is that you don't have estrogen dominance and you don't have crazy ass testosterone. Right now, you could definitely finish up the DIM and the Love Her. But my question is, how long were you taking the DIM and Love Her before you did this test?
Like 4 or 5 months.
So
Maybe
it's
longer.
possible that you are estrogen dominance, but the DIM and the Love Her was really working.
Yeah.
So me personally, I can't tell because it could be that the DIM and Love Her was already working really well because frequently PCOS goes with estrogen dominance.
Okay.
So
So
this
just
could be the DIM and the Love Her working really well. We don't have a comparison.
stay on it then maybe.
So I would just stay on it. And what I would consider is once you're done with them, try swapping to Liver Love.
Okay. So, I'd be scared to stop it though. So,
But
Liver
or
Love.
keep it, or just keep it and forget about the Liver Love because there's a lot of liver support in DIM and in Love Her. That's
Okay.
fine too.
So it's a one
You
or
want
the
to do
other.
that instead of Liver Love? That works for me. I'm
Okay.
giving you room to play with this.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with PCOS, we got to make sure Pro Omega 1000, you got to get high dose omegas to help with the neural inflammation. This is why she has anxiety or brain fog or mood swings. So 1 in the morning of Pro Omega 1000, 2 at night. We want like 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams of omega 3s is really important. Number 2 is high blood sugar swinging to low all the time. Those high blood sugar feeds a lot of gut infection. She better be rotating her probiotics. And I would tend to rotate like Proflora GI on Monday through Friday for someone who has high infection risks like PCOS people.
Yeah,
And then the Pro Floor AI would be Saturday and Sunday, that rotation, Ann.
I'm on it. You have no idea. This is like, I've been asking for years for these answers. So this means so much to me to get
You
them.
totally have PCOS, and it's just like, it's crazy that, but it's not. I see people like you missed every single day. Every single week we have a hidden PCOS that was missed by the physicians, and you guys, depending on your doctors to diagnose this, they don't even understand DHEA or progesterone is a precursor to testosterone. They don't even know that PCOS, can have even a normal testosterone, but be hidden like this. So then you're depending on them, but they have no training in this. I'm the only doctor who's ever talked about hidden PCOS. You will never hear that training anywhere on earth. Nobody
It's
else ever talks about that.
it's so
They don't
true.
know.
I've even had the ultrasounds done and been told you don't have the cysts. You definitely don't have
You
PCOS.
do not require to have cysts at all to have PCOS, to
Exactly.
have this autoimmune problem.
Nope.
Okay.
No. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Anne. This is exciting. Yeah. I mean, let's talk through the layers of that.
I just want to first say though, at the end of that call last night,
Mm.
I was I was emotional and I am feeling it again because, and you know what this is like to just wonder for so many years what's going on. If I would have met you years ago and been working with you years ago, it would have totally changed the whole trajectory of my life, really, really. And that's not to be exaggerative. I dealt with such infertility struggles. And I do believe, had you been able to intervene and tell me, we're dealing with PCOS here, and here's all of the steps you can take to try to correct this,
Yeah.
uh, my life would have been very different. And I would have saved tens of thousands of dollars potentially on IVF treatments. And not to mention the emotional stress and turmoil that brought upon us. It's just, what you're doing for people and the information that you're giving people is such a service. And so I just am so thankful. I really am. After the call, I went and hugged my husband and cried because it just feels so good to have answers. And
And
that's
that's
because of you. You would have not only saved me from the infertility struggles, but then after I gave birth, my body was not in a great state,
me
and
too.
that triggered autoimmunity. So
It
I
just
may not have even ever had autoimmunity had I met you previously and worked with you years ago. I
I
mean,
think
that's the kind of intervention that you're able to do with people.
well, you're mirroring my story. Like, kind of like, thank God I came down with that. Like like after I delivered each of my children, it felt like near death experiences for me. Like entire body, there was always some sort of complication, depression, hair loss. I had no clue what it was. No one even test one blood test to do with this. I was recommended to try a Prozac at the time, but
Mhm.
like look, these patterns are missed all the time. Hormones aren't even tested. Women and men are being ignored for their hormonal changes all the time. I reviewed a hormone result today with a man, and his wife and him was literally, I looked at this pattern and I was like, I knew it based on the blood work already, and that I was like, I can't wait to see the hormones because I could already tell he's probably going to have a testosterone problem. This is somebody under 30,
Mm.
right? Who's a male who's like supposedly not have a lot of symptoms. But then of course we went to the male hormones and it was like it was in the shithole. And yet a guy like him, if first of all, would have never been tested. And number two, if he was tested, immediately if a doctor saw a leveled up low, they just say, I'm just going to give you testosterone. Instead of balancing the hormones and helping him make it the testosterone, which we see all the time, recovery on that all the time, they would have given him testosterone therapy. Oh, let's just have you inject testosterone for life, which would have shut off his testosterone production, which is the last thing you want to do.
That is the
So that's
last.
the thing is like we see all these examples and we're living proof of it, Anne, is that it's not just a problem with getting pregnant, it's the miscarriages, it's the our experience during pregnancy when we deliver the baby, how the outcome of the baby is. My son has autism, and there's a lot of like issues when we're autoimmune moms and we have kids that are at higher risk, like so.
100%.
And then
My
on
son
top
my
of it,
son has food allergies, and, having a mom with autoimmune issues, I'm obviously on high alert, but what I've learned in your program is not only going to help me, but it's going to help my son as well. What do you think?
Everyone's learning, everyone's teaching, but this is the principle though, Anne. You heard it on your first orientation. I said, so I'm not here to dabble in autoimmune disease, and neither are you. You're here by the end of this. If I do my job right, you're gonna learn how to think like me, and that is a freaking tall order. Took a lot to get here. That being said, how do we do it? And I call it see one, do one, teach one. Which is you're gonna see a bunch of these reviews, right? You're gonna do an actual review with me, and you're gonna teach the hell out of it over and over again in these mastermind calls to get true mastery. So if
Mhm.
you're not going to see one, do one, and teach one, you will never get mastery. And we're teaching here to for you to master hormones, master autoimmunity. We don't dabble in it.
We don't yeah. No, it really is. It cements it in you, and then you know it. You know that information going forward, and it's something I don't think I will ever forget because it's like you said, I've been now
Yeah.
teaching it on the other end, helping out on these calls as well.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna forget this information.
So I want to talk through a couple things. Number one is that I love tying the hormones with the autoimmunity, right? And I hope I made that happen. If you are interested in learning more about our Transform Autoimmune program, we're going to put a link in chat for you guys to chat our team. Transform Autoimmune, the program is going to be not only dealing with hormones, which is one of the pillars, but we're going to be talking, all the blood sugar, the gut healing, the vitamin nutrient density, the digestion, all that. There's so much in it. That's the Transform Autoimmune program.
And I can now say from experience, I'm so used to talking with alumni as I interview them, but now I can speak from true experience and say, if you do this and if you take a leap of faith and do this program, you will not regret it because you're going to get answers to questions that you've probably had for years. And you may even get answers to things you didn't even realize you had questions for.
Well, like, who knew, like, some of these things? Well, sometimes when I go into the hormones, I mean, there's actually certain patterns that point directly to a liver problem, where the
Yes.
liver labs and even the ultrasound are completely normal. Because I can tell you right now that's the case with you, and we go into the why of that. So there's so much that you might think you're just staring at some dots there, but I'm like, the graduates, I'm already looking at it. I'm already like, people going through the program. I'm like, what do you see that's not hormonally related that's here?
Yeah. No. I know it's why, and the thing is you teach us to know that too. So
Right.
when we do go and retest our hormones, I'm going to be able to read my own hormones and understand what this means.
Yes, yes, and hell yes, and that gets me so excited, right? It excites me when you guys come up with the answer. It's so good sometimes, like, when people keep winning winner, 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 chicken dinner on the, mastermind call, I'm like, "Man, you might as well teach the class. I don't know why I'm here." "Marty, why don't you teach the class?" "I don't know why I'm here," because you know it so well.
Yeah, you've trained us to truly think like you. It sounds like a wild concept on day one when you tell us that. But then as you get to week 6 and week 7 of the program and beyond, you realize, oh, wait, I'm regurgitating like a mini Dr. Maggie.
So I'm gonna just ask people in the audience right here, right now in the comments section. I'm gonna need you to write something because I'm gonna ask you a question, and all of you that are watching, every single person watching right now, type in chat what are some of the hormone symptoms you have and what autoimmune struggles you have. They'll help me tailor exactly some of the trainings that we're gonna share next week.
And for people who are wondering, okay, well, what are some of my hormone symptoms? Offhand, you've got weight gain could be a hormone
We
symptom,
actually
right?
have a whole hormone checklist guide. If you want the hormone checklist guide to know which symptoms you have are linked with actually hormone disturbances, to put in the chat right now, type in hormone checklist, but tell me what symptoms you're struggling with. Then check your Facebook message request later, and we will get a hormone checklist to you. There's also a link we're going to put in chat. If you can send a message directly to our team so we can get the checklist to you, we can see what your hormone symptoms or autoimmune struggles are. We can get the exact right resources and trainings to you. Thanks, everybody.